Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I am your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 216 of the show. And before we get started, we're going to do a house cleaning quick because, well, you guys don't like to do it around here. It only makes sense if we do it, so let's just get on with the house cleaning, you know? But I do want to say, first, thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It really does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time in your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or my opinions or not. At the end of the day, it's greatly appreciated, y'all, and I greatly appreciate all the downloads. We are actually very, very close to 3,000 total downloads of the show, and for that, I am eternally grateful. Thank you guys so much for that. Hopefully, we can get over 3,000. I know I want to try to shoot for 4,000 by the end of this year, so hey, you guys just keep downloading and keep sharing these episodes. I really appreciate it at the end of the day. Also, thank you to the Patreon backers for supporting the show as well. And to be honest, to everyone that's, well, graduating soon, well, congratulations. You're almost at the finish line. So just finish strong, do what you got to do. Same thing for everyone in classes right now. Like, hey, let's finish the semester strong. Let's just get this over with. You know, I'm saying this as a college student. So, and you guys are probably wondering, like, what the heck with my hand and stuff like, well, my hand and stuff like that. We'll talk about that a little bit at the end of the show. But for the video listeners or viewers, if you're watching the video version of this show, you can clearly see something's a little bit different this time. Clearly, we're not using my microphone. We're not using the usual setup. We're actually trying out something a little bit new. And I'll explain about this because it kind of ties in with the whole, like, you know, what happened with the car accident, since the thing that we're using to record this episode is kind of the reason that, well, you know, if I didn't go get these things, I wouldn't be in this situation. But if you're listening to the podcast, the audio version, I am currently using the Corsair Virtuoso XTs, and I'm using the microphone on them to do the episode this week. So we're trying something a little bit new, just seeing how this feels. Like, how do you guys feel about, you know, maybe not using the usual setup, and if there's even a difference in quality, since what I do post-processing, I don't think you'll be able to notice the difference. And if you do, let me know. And if you don't, well, hey, this could be an option. And I feel like, especially for this episode, it makes a lot of sense that I have a little bit more free-flowing, that I can able to move a little bit more. Because we're going to be talking about the Nintendo Switch lineup for 2022. And if I'm just being honest with you, Nintendo, again, has shown that they are a very interesting and peculiar company that seems to just, you know, not go by the normal order of doing things. And because I have the list pulled up right next to me, this company clearly surprises us every single time. If I'm just being objectively honest with you, this company has always made some interesting choices, and 2022 is no exception to this. So let's talk about the lineup, because obviously we've had some great games come out at the start of this year, and we have some great games lined up for the end of this year, or at least the midway point and the end of the year. And this is where I think this year specifically, the 2022 lineup has been it appears to be a very strong lineup for Nintendo. Prime example, let's start with the January. We had Pokemon Legends Arceus come out, and I have played through Legends Arceus. I'm still going through some of the post-game stuff, but I will say this, it definitely is one of my favorite Pokemon games ever made. I easily put it in contention with Pokemon Black and White 2, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. To me, I kind of like, I have a soft spot for Fire Red, since that was one of the first games I ever played was Fire Red. I think for me personally, I do put Legends Arceus very high, because it, objectively speaking, it is the biggest shift from the traditional Pokemon formula in a very, very long time. It's obviously the biggest shift and the first time they've ever done something like this. And I can understand why some people are for it, why some people are against it. And to me, it just makes sense. It was a good game, and it was I really enjoyed it, and I'm not gonna be surprised if it gets put in the Game of the Year contention this year. Another big game that came out was Kirby. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands, a very, very good Kirby game. People are not going to be surprised if this is the best-selling Kirby game of all time, which I don't blame them. It was really good. Like, I have friends that really love Kirby, and they have played all the Kirby games. And like, yes, we can objectively say, for us, this is the best Kirby game. That, yes, obviously difficulty and stuff like that, that's a whole different story. However, I can say personally from experience, I think it's a really good game. And Nintendo started off the year great, especially with, Pokemon Legends Arceus, and then you have this game. Obviously the next games coming up would be the middle of the year, which this is where things get really funky and finicky, because originally, like, the schedule, so like, we have Nintendo Switch Sports coming out in a couple of days at the time it's recording on the 29th of April. So at the time it's recording, it's 3 days away. But the next game after that is Mario Strikers. A lot of people are very excited for Mario Strikers and Fire Emblem Three Heroes. Or that's not Three Houses, because that was the one before this one. But the next Fire Emblem game is coming along with Mario Strikers, which a lot of people are very excited for Mario Strikers since, well, we haven't had a new one since the GameCube. It's not like this controller, very popular console, everyone seems to really love the GameCube. If we're just being honest here, I like the GameCube. I still think it's probably one of the most overrated consoles Nintendo's ever made, but I understand why people like it. I'm going to get a lot of hate for that. I know I will. But we have Mario Strikers coming up, and then we have Nintendo Switch Sports. June and September, that time frame specifically, very, very interesting because things got switched around. And this is a story that I mentioned a little bit in last week's episode, because at the time it was breaking news, where Splatoon 3 and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 got swapped around, or at least Xenoblade got moved up to July 29th, and then we were like, well, that was Splatoon's spot. So, what's going to happen, since Splatoon was supposed to be in the summer, so they were supposed to be in the July time spot, June, July, August, and then technically September also counts like the first couple weeks. But that's not the case anymore. Splatoon has now got pushed to September 9th, or at least in September in that time frame. And for me, it doesn't surprise me. It made a logical sense, especially because there were rumors going around that Xenoblade had been done for a while. And I don't blame them if this was a game that Nintendo was just sitting on for a while. Like, let's just be honest here. Like, if they've been sitting on it for a while, it makes sense why they were more flexible, because Nintendo doesn't really do this so much. They don't push games up like that, like a good amount of time, like at least 2 months up. So normally it's delaying games, which we're going to talk about one of them, which a lot of people are kind of salty about. But I'm grateful that Xenoblade was already ready, that it was ready to go, it was polished, that they already had everything they needed for it, that it was, approved, greenlit, everything was good, it's running fine, running great, and they got pushed up. So Xenoblade fans, I know you guys are excited because it looks really good and the new mechanics seem really crazy. I know my friends are really excited because they're big Xenoblade fans. So July is going to be a big month for Xenoblade. And Splatoon fans, hey, you still got Splatoon coming. It's just coming in September instead. So, and some people can argue, well, it still got put in the summer because that was the thing they wanted to. Okay, we get it. The first couple weeks of September are considered summer because it's not till like the later weeks. I think it's like, what, the third week of September is when it finally considered fall. But we get it. Splatoon is coming. And to be honest, let's be real, it's still going to sell tons of copies because lol, Splatoon. It has a very big community, a very big fan base. Nintendo realizes that sucker prints money. The end of the year, though, this is where it gets pretty interesting, if I'm being honest with you, because originally one game was supposed to get put somewhere in this calendar year and it got delayed, which is Breath of the Wild 2. Yes, this game, some people could argue it was kind of stupid for Nintendo to say it was coming this year. I don't blame them for, wanting to try to get this game out this year. Do I blame them? Not really, since a lot of people are excited for this game. They know this game is going to sell tons of copies. They know this game is a system seller. Like, this game is going to print money. Like, Breath of the Wild 1, the first Breath of the Wild, was a system seller for the Switch. Obviously, it was also on the Wii U. On the Switch, it sold a lot, and it made them a lot of money. Let's just be objectively honest here. It made a lot of money for them. Mario Odyssey did too, and Mario Kart. Yeah, those three games essentially sold the Switch in its first year. Let's just be honest here. So Breath of the Wild 2 getting delayed into 2023. I saw this coming, just being honest with you. Nobody is stupid enough to say that they didn't see this coming. We knew this game was going to get delayed. There's no chance, especially because Nintendo is obviously going to be taking very, very good care of this game, if I'm just being honest with you. Like, I don't think anybody's like, yeah, this game has to be good. Like, the expectations, especially after the first Breath of the Wild, are insane. Like, it makes sense why Nintendo is taking their sweet time with it. Also because I think there's a Switch revision coming next year, but we'll talk about that another time. But what's going to happen at the end of this year, though? Breath of the Wild is not here. We have no Zelda game announced. What's going to happen? So here's what we know so far, based on the roadmap right now. We have Bayonetta 3, and we have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Do I think there will be anything else added into this roadmap? Personally, yes. I think the rumor is that we could probably see a Metroid Prime remake collection. There's rumors that if we are going to get a Zelda game, because since Breath of the Wild got pushed back, this would be the first year that we don't have a Zelda game every year, which there's always a yearly Zelda release. Do I think that they're going to do a collection or something this year? Probably. They already, like, the main collection is the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess collection. Do both of them together. I get it. These games have been re-released a lot on the Wii and the Wii U. So re-releasing them on the Switch, it wouldn't surprise me if they did it that way. I'm just being honest here. Would you be surprised? No, but there are people that still want this game because it is a popular game. Like, they are good games. Like, people really like these games. Would I be surprised if this collection gets announced? No, not really. I think it makes a lot of sense that we're going to see this collection pretty soon. Metroid Prime 4? Maybe not. Metroid Prime 4 is like one of those things where, if I'm just being honest with you, I don't think we're going to see anything about this game until 2023. I think that's when we'll finally get something for it, especially because they had to restart development and start from the ground up. So I would say 2023 is when we'll see something about it. Or by a miracle of God, during E3 timeframe, since there's no E3 this year, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop a trailer and then just surprise and be like, hey, it's going to come out in 2023, but here's a Metroid Prime collection, a remake collection of Metroid Prime, the first game, or maybe all three of them together. I hope they do all three together. I think it'd be a great way to set up, especially after how well Metroid Dread was received. I'm not going to be surprised. Now, is there anything else that could be added into the Nintendo's lineup? And the main thing that we also did talk about was the emulators for the Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color games being added to the Nintendo Switch Online service. I do predict that we will see it this year, that this will probably be a big announcement, that this is something that will be added this year. And I'm excited to see that because if we do get Metroid, Metroid Fusion, prime example, is a very popular Game Boy Advance game. It's a very good game. I like Metroid Fusion. I grew up playing Metroid Fusion. I have my Game Boy Advances. I eventually want to get Metroid Prime Fusion or Metroid Fusion. I'm going to try to get that game. I know it's very expensive, so we're trying to get a legit copy, homies. It's not easy. But I will say that it's not going to surprise me if that's added this year, that part of the lineup, because we acknowledge that these are games going to be added to a service. Is there anything else that I think could be a surprise? Man, it's a hard call. I think the collection, like remake collections, we might end up seeing one or two. I'm not going to be surprised if we see the Metroid one. The Zelda one makes a lot of logical sense that we will see it since it's very easy to do. And they've probably been working on it for a while now just to keep people, hold them over until Breath of the Wild 2. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet will obviously be the big holiday seller this year, which makes a lot of logical sense because Pokemon always sells well. And if it's as big and as ambitious as they want it to be, especially after the success of Arceus, well, I think it's going to be interesting. I think I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm skeptical, I'm going to be a bit skeptical because this is the first mainline Pokemon game that we've had since Sword and Shield. And let's be real, Sword and Shield wasn't that good. So, just being honest here. Bayonetta 3, though, I'm excited to see how that turns out. I think it's going to be really good, personally. But the start of the year started off great. I think with Legends Arceus and Kirby, Nintendo did a great job starting off the year with these two games. I think these were very, very well developed games, and I'm very pleased that we even got them to begin with. Do I think we'll see anything from Mario? Well, obviously Strikers, we know Strikers coming. Oh yeah, Rayman, the next Rayman Rabbids game with Mario, like the RPG style game. I almost forgot about that, to be honest. Yeah, a lot of people are still hoping that comes out this year, which it's still based on what I've heard and what I've seen in commentaries, that it should still be on track to come out this year. At least I hope so. It's gonna be like, the first one was really good. Like, a lot of people really liked it. That's why they're making a sequel of it, and the sequel looks very entertaining. So based on the little clips we've seen here and there and stuff like that, is there anything else that I'm missing out on that I feel like I might be forgetting? And I would feel really bad if I forgot about something. Like, we mentioned Fire Emblem. That's another big game. We mentioned, oh yeah, Advance Wars. That game was supposed to come out this year, but because of the current events going on in the world, obviously Nintendo wants to be a little bit more conscientious about it. They kind of feel bad if they come out with it, and especially with what's going on in the world. Yeah, I don't blame them. It's kind of a tough, especially with the nature of the game and what you're doing in the game. So it's kind of sensitive topic, But at the end of the day, that's Nintendo's lineup this year. I think Nintendo has a strong year. I think this is a strong, especially after 2021 and 2020. Yes, there were gems here and there, but I think this year definitely has a lot more potential for big, like really big release for the Switch. Really big releases. And overall, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how a lot of these games turn out. I know Xenoblade fans, Splatoon fans are very happy for these games. Or the next big one. Mario Striker fans are going to be super happy in a month or two once this game finally comes out. Nintendo Switch Sports, like, I get it. Like, especially after the masterpiece that was Wii Sports and Wii Sports Resort. Like, the fact that those games even came with the Wii, and they were just so good, like, and very popular. They make a lot of people's memories, especially how much content was in those games and just how fun they were. I'm not going to be surprised that, I know there's a lot of expectations for this game. Do I think it's going to be good? Yeah, probably. It's going to be $40 good? We're going to find out. Oh, yeah. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak DLC. Because this game is still, exclusive on the Switch in terms of consoles, and then it's on PC too. So that game is getting its big Sunbreak DLC very shortly, so I'm excited for that because I put a lot of hours in Monster Hunter Rise, and now that I have my OLED, that's why I will say this though. If we see anything for a revision of the Switch this year, I guarantee you it's not coming out this year. If they even hint that they're working on a new Switch, it's probably going to come out next year. I've had this theory for a long time, especially with the release of, the announcement of Breath of the Wild 2 being delayed into 2023. It's the 6-year anniversary of the Switch. Breath of the Wild was the launch title with the Switch. And if we go by the track record of how it was with the 3DS to the new 3DS XL and the new 3DS, it's not going to surprise me if we get a refresh of the Switch with either more performance in docked, or we just get a revision of the Switch. Like, I get it, we just got the OLED recently, but that's not a big refresh. Like, we will get a big refresh. I firmly believe that during the 6-year anniversary of the Switch, we will see a big refresh of the Switch, and it will launch with Breath of the Wild 2, or Breath of the Wild 2 will be the thing that really emphasizes the new hardware, the new power. There's so many things that go into it. And I know we will have a conversation about that specifically very soon. So stay tuned for that. But that's all I got for you guys. How'd you guys like today's episode? Did you like the visual? Like, if you're watching the YouTube version, did you like the appeal of me using a headset instead of using the traditional like arm, microphone with boom arm and things like that? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you like today's episode? Did you not like it? And if you're listening to the audio version, let me know. Did you guys hear a difference in audio quality? Could you tell that I'm not using my normal setup? But I will say this though, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much for your love and your support, for downloading these episodes, for allowing me to have a piece of your time, because your time is very precious and I'm greatly appreciative towards it. I don't want to waste your time. I appreciate that you guys even come and just, let's have a conversation about these things, like talking about, trends in video games, trends in technology, trends in business. Like, I enjoy being able to talk about these things with you guys, because to me, especially the real talks too, like, a lot of this stuff is very therapeutic for me. I've been open and honest about this multiple times, that doing the show has been a very encouraging thing and very helpful for me in many ways, especially with a lot of stuff. It helps keep me sane a lot of the time, if I'm just being honest, because it's just fun doing this. Even though some people look at me like I'm crazy saying like Josh, you like talking to a camera by yourself. It's relaxing for you. Yeah, in some ways it is. I know it sounds crazy, but it's kind of fun. Yeah, I know I sound crazy. But I will say this, guys, for everyone that's been reaching out to me, especially after the car wreck, I know I mentioned that a little bit earlier at the top of the show. Yeah, I got into a bit of a wreck. I'm okay. No one else got hurt, like besides a severe burn. And like, just being honest, I can't feel my ring finger and my pinky finger. They've been very numb and I just can't really feel them. And the insurance is kind of being a pain in the butt of dealing with the situation. But I know everything will work itself out. Thank you guys for your love and your support. For those reaching out for me, reaching out to check up on me and seeing how I'm doing, I greatly appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. You guys are awesome. I love you guys to death. I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Please be safe, y'all. Don't do anything dumb. The world is still a weird place out there, and the only thing we really can do is just, to make it not as weird and, not as mean and ugly, is try to be as kind and courteous as we can. Like, try to be kind and respectful towards others. Whether we agree with them, whether we don't agree with them, it's always good to just be kind, loving, and, just be willing to serve rather than being served. I always have believed in that, and I always encourage that. Like, it's better to have a servant mindset or servant leadership mindset than, being stubborn and, maybe having your head up your ass is not a good idea. Just being honest with you guys. Being stubborn and having your head in your bum, not necessarily a good idea. But I will say this, for the seniors that are graduating, for, people that are just finishing up another year of school, hey, keep it up. We're almost at the finish line, guys. Let's finish strong. Let's do what we got to do. And let's just finish this. Let's get it over with, baby. Got to get on that grind. If you got to study hard for your test, hey, study hard, because you get a whole summer to enjoy it. Unless you're doing summer classes or you're doing an internship, which if you're doing any one of those things, hey, you're doing great. You got this. Do what you got to do. If you want to stay ahead, hey, that's awesome. If you're doing an internship, awesome. And if you're going to be working or you're going to do anything else, that's awesome. I hope you guys succeed and do everything to the best of your ability and be willing to serve and help others while you're doing that stuff. Like, just have a great time. Don't be grateful for what you have. Don't be ungrateful for what you don't have. The whole point is focus on one day at a time. Be grateful for everything that we have, because it can easily be taken away. So that's just a little bit of life advice to end off this week's episode. So I love you guys to death. Please have yourselves a wonderful week and weekend, and I will see you guys next week. And let me know what you think about maybe the change in setup. Maybe we might use it more often. But bye, guys. Take care. Love you guys to death.
Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.